In this video, we're going to install a bidet onto this toilet. And the first thing I'm gonna do is show you what comes in the box. So you get this hose, and that's gonna be used to connect the water supply to the bidet. You get the bidet itself, which just looks like this. And then you get some miscellaneous pieces, like this connector, which gives you the extra hole to connect to the bidet off of the toilet. You get a washer, very important to keep. And you get these covers, which help connect it to the toilet itself. Now, the only two tools you're gonna need for this is a crescent wrench and a screwdriver, and you might not even need the screwdriver depending on the type of toilet you have. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is take the old toilet seat off of your toilet. So sometimes there's caps on top of here. Every toilet looks different. Sometimes they're plastic pieces that you twist. Mine have actual screws in them, and there's little wing nuts on the bottom, but they're pretty tight, or loose, so I can just do it by hand. Get the other one. Careful not to drop anything into the toilet as this comes off. Okay, next you're gonna wanna turn off the water to the toilet and then flush the toilet to make sure the tank is as empty as possible. So we'll do that now. Somewhere down here there's a valve, and you're gonna want to figure out which way it turns and make sure that it is perpendicular to the water line. That will keep any more water from coming in. And then you're gonna wanna flush the toilet. And as you can hear, no water fills back up. Less water will spill out when we undo this valve here to put on the splicer. And what's gonna happen is the old hose that comes from the wall is gonna go into this, and it leaves us with an extra connection point to attach to the bidet itself. So once you make sure the water's off, you're gonna come up here to where it connects into the toilet. You're gonna very carefully screw this off. Now, because it's upside down, it's gonna be like you're screwing it to the right, but it's really to the left. You're just looking at it upside down because it goes into the bottom. So once it's off, you're gonna take this splicer that it came with, and you're gonna take this washer or O-ring, and you're gonna put it in the top, and you want the narrow end facing up like this. So if you look, it has a wide bottom and a narrow top. So you wanna make sure that that narrow top is facing up when you put it inside here. That's very important.
There was some lost footage, but basically you just want to screw that onto there and then screw back in the original hose into this new piece that you've put on.
So you're gonna take this hose and make sure everything's perfectly straight. You wanna make sure nothing is cross-threaded. And once everything's attached, I always like to go back through and re-snug everything and just make sure everything is tight. And so you'll have this loose end out here, and then it's time to mount the actual bidet. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab the bidet itself and you're gonna put it on the toilet like so. And then it has these, which go right in these little slots, and they move, so no matter where your holes are, you can kind of maneuver it to fit where those holes are showing. And then you're gonna grab the toilet seat itself, and up these bolts to go right into these holes, just like that. Now, if you remember from earlier, you had to take out these wing nuts that go into the bottom. So what you're gonna do is underneath here, you're gonna have to find your bolt and get the wing nut started on it. You don't wanna cross thread anything. You just want it to go on straight. So you kind of have to reach under with one hand, feel it, get it started. And a little tip for this is to not get it all the way snug at first. Leave it a little loose on one, get the other one started just in case you need to move things a little bit. And then once they're both started nice and straight, then you can go back and snug both of them down. So now that they're both on, I'm gonna go ahead and snug that one down. And I'm gonna go back to my first one and I'm gonna snug it down. Now with the bidet mounted, it's still not connected to the water. So what we're gonna do next is connect it to the water. So if you look under here, there's a very familiar looking starter that this will fit on the other end of your hose. Now again, I'm gonna reiterate, it's very important that nothing gets cross-threaded. Now that everything's connected, I can turn the water on and let the tank refill. Now it's important that you check for leaks to make sure nothing's loose or cross-threaded and you don't know about it, otherwise it'll sit here and leak and run forever, and that can cause a lot of damage. Now once it fills up, it should be all set. This video is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not a professional plumber. It's a good idea that if you don't know what you're doing, to have someone who is licensed and a professional look at this. It is plumbing work. Some people can do it themselves if you want to take that chance. But again, this is not a comprehensive guide. This is for entertainment purposes only. Do not try this at home. Did you get that on video? It works.